Thank you, Dean Kendall, for that very intimidating introduction. I swear to God, these days I sometimes hear this list read out and think, who the hell are they talking about? Before I start, I wish to thank President Coleman, Dean Kendall, the regents, the faculty, anyone at the university who has had anything to do with this unlooked for and astonishing honor. I'm particularly moved because my sister Janet, who graduated from this university, is with me today, and next to her, my oldest and dearest friends, jazz great Bob James and his wife Judy. We met here during the Crimean War years ago. Never mind. And have been close, personal, loving friends ever since. And I assure you, sitting here, that in those decades past when we were there, an event like this never occurred to any of us. And I want you to be alert and be warned. Because I have the feeling that there's some 1 or 2 or 3 people out there who will find themselves in the enviable position I do today. And it's pretty terrific. I'm told that I have something like 12 to 15 minutes to say something pithy to you. And since it's fairly well known that I can't say hello in 12 to 15 minutes, the sense of discipline is going to be awesome, I promise you. I look at you sitting here, your expectant faces tilted up, thinking, what is he going to tell us? And I'm wondering if, in your experience, you've heard many of the same things that we heard when we were here, such as, since you are, as you know, the pride of your teachers, and you know that you're the envy of your fellow students, and you know that you are, of course, the despair of your parents, who would say things like, you plan to play that for a living? Or, dance, yes, you're going to dance. How are you going to eat? Or my special favorite, your father and I are enormously proud of what you've done. We believe in you and we love what you do. What are you going to fall back on? Well, my perfect darlings, I'm afraid that what you have to fall back on for the moment is me. It occurs to me that as you sit there, metaphorically fingering the ripcord to your little parachute on your back, as you stare stoically at the square of blue outside that cargo door, the blinding, bright, brilliant blue of your unknowable future, this is probably the last words you're going to hear before you jump. And although I have sat on both sides of the aisle and I know what the platitudes are like, the necessity to say something of interest and inspiration like this in Crispin's Day speech, but I'm racking my brain to say, how can I help these poor kids? And so what I've decided to do is to share with you a few very personal observations. I think of them as my own personal professional t-shirts. Things that I have distilled and learned over a lifetime of production and creativity that might possibly help you as you're falling out of that plane. Such as, one of my favorites is, I rehearse for a living. It's a good thing to remember. There's so much goal-oriented in the performing arts, and I think basically it's today's rehearsal I think about the most. That if at the end of the day something has moved, something's better, there's been a sense of communication, you've got someplace, you can say to yourself at the end of the day, this was a professional experience. Another one is, there's nothing worse than a failure you didn't believe in. That hurts. Because sometimes we're hired to do things. You've got to put food on the table, you have your children's braces to pay for. You have to do something to do and hopefully get a gainful living. And sometimes you convince yourself that this is a good idea. What you have to do is find your passion in it, or don't do it. If you can commit yourselves, find your own belief and integrity in it, you'll be all right. But if you're skating, it never works. Let's talk about reviews. Well, if you're going to believe the good ones, you have to believe the bad ones. So it's best not to believe them at all. The great Tyrone Guthrie used to say that he never read a review from which he could excerpt anything potent, powerful, or revelatory that would help him better understand his craft or do it better. So he only liked to receive good reviews. I'm a subscriber to that theory. There are lots of little things along the way that you may find out. Sometimes it gets better all by itself. You know that you were terrible, that the ensemble was rotten, the intonation was wrong. She screwed up. It's no good. And you don't ever think it's all about you. Because everybody is lying in their little trundle bed of pain that night, thinking that they screwed up. And the next day, curiously enough, everybody gets better. It's usually a good day and a bad day, alternately. But keep going, because with your heart high, that's the way to achieve what you need to do. What else do I have to tell you? Okay, don't sleep with anybody you work with. Your parents won't teach you and your teachers won't tell you that, but I will. It doesn't work. Now I know you'll fail. But damn it, you can try. And I think the last frivolous piece of information before I get to the pith is never skimp on the wine. You can send the food back, but wine is a commitment. Finally, I want to lift something from my sainted mother, who used to say of bridge, there's not game in every hand. I think what she meant by that was, you don't do it to win, you do it because you have to. Now let's face it, you didn't see somewhere in a newspaper, there are no bassoonists in Connecticut. You didn't read in the trades, a musical comedy is being done on Broadway, and we have no one to put in it. This is something you wanted to do. Maybe a calling, if you will. Something that you felt you had to do with your life. What an honor. What a glorious pleasure to come to work every day knowing that you are exercising in the field of dreams, the things that are most important to you. So don't complain. Realize that I'm just a metaphor for everybody who passed through this hallowed institution and others like it, who find on the other end of the spectrum we're still sitting up and taking nourishment. There is, in fact, a world elsewhere, Coriolanus, and you belong in it. I'm here to welcome you, to acknowledge you, to thank you, to tell you that much is expected of you, and that we need you. So, are you ready? Jump!